Hello everyone, welcome to the new video, and today again we'll discuss some more DevOps question and their solutions. So let's go. First question is a code is working in one environment but fails in other environment due to some difference in configuration or some setup. So what solution will you give? Like as a if you are asked to give any solution, what will you give? So you should answer that we should ask them to use Docker images, because Docker image is a package of the code, the dependencies, the libraries, everything that image will contain. That image is portable, and it doesn't depends on which platform it is running. So we don't have to care about that, we don't have to care about the setup. We just have to install that download the image and start the container. So basically Docker helps to solve this problem of difference in the environment and the setup. So you have to because one of the question was asked to me that how will you persuade the customer to use Docker instead of VMs. So he'll try to check your reasoning and your points, how strong are your points. So yeah, and how clear are your basics. So yeah, now and also you can tell that we can use Kubernetes to automate this deployment, the scaling, the orchestration tool, so that everything is uniform across all the environments. Okay, then the second question is, as a DevOps engineer, what solution will you give to solve security vulnerabilities in your automation? So basically, you should answer that in AWS, we should use AWS Secret Manager, and also in Azure we should use Azure key walls, and the rotation of this password should be done, because after every month these passwords should be recycled. And we can also use HashiCorp Vault. So HashiCorp Vault is one of the it's good for storing the secrets, and we don't have to worry about recycling also. It is already in place over there. So yeah, I'm thinking to bring the series of HashiCorp Vault too, because I think it is a good tool. We should have knowledge about it. And also we should give access to the user with least privileges. Unless and until the access is not required that much, we should enable the least privileges access. And so like this you can tell that you'll suggest how to make your passwords and secrets more secure, that they are less exposed to the outside people. Third question is that if our long build time slows down the development and deployment process. So the build is taking a long time. So what you will suggest or what you will do? So first of all, what you'll do, you'll try to optimize your pipeline script by using parallelizing jobs where possible. You'll try to use caching techniques, so that if it is already in cache, it's not fetched again. And you should try to break down large monolithic builds into smaller one manageable units. And also you'll try that you can check the number of executors, like if it's a master slave architecture, so you can check that too. So you can mention all these points. Yeah. One very important question that has mostly been asked to me in my interviews, that what is the difference between Docker service, Docker stack, and Docker swarm. So Docker service is a image of same application. Like when you write a Docker compose file, right? You name one service, right? Like one service, whatever name you want to give to your service, Spring App, something like that. So that is our Docker service. You can even mention the replicas, right? There can be two replicas of it, there can be three replicas of it. That's a Docker service. But in a Docker Compose file, when you mention Spring App service also, then again the second service, Mongo service also, MongoDB service, any name you can give. So this is the Docker stack where you will have a combination of one or more services. Okay, and Docker Swarm is an orchestration tool. Now, Docker Swarm is not that much used, Kubernetes is preferred, but Docker Swarm is just like the Kubernetes orchestration tool. It helps in managing these clusters that we are creating, where like there will be one master, two worker nodes, and everything like this. So it's a orchestration tool. I hope this point is very clear, because they'll see definition if a person can tell, but if you have to tell an interviewer in such a way that he doesn't know anything, and when you're telling a person in a way that even a person who doesn't know anything, he understand it, then you are successful in delivering your answer. So you should tell your answer by giving some examples and everything. So yeah. Then our last question is like, what is the best way? Like this was asked to me in my interview, that if you are automating some scripts, like the shutdown, only the shutdown of VMs at night or everything, how are you connecting? Like they were asking, how are you connecting to your portal, your, whether it is Azure or whether it is AWS, whatever automation you are doing, how are you connecting? So for Azure, you can tell we have a service principal. That is the best way to connect to Azure portal using Azure CLI commands. Principal, and this service principal has client ID, value, and secret ID, and this password is getting, secret value is getting. We can set the expiry time, and we have to generate new values again and again. So the rotation of secret is there. So using this, using the authentication of this service principal, like the client ID and the value, we are able to connect to the Azure portal using Azure CLI commands. In AWS, the best way to connect to AWS using AWS CLI is creating a token. So our role will be created in AWS for our user, which we through the user which we want to use to connect to AWS array. Our user role will be created, and we have to assume that role. We have to assume that role, and so not for our user, basically anybody, any user who is there in IAM Identity Center. So this is a service of AWS, where all the users who are logging in AWS portal, their user ID is mentioned. Okay, so that user, so the role that is created in AWS account or anywhere, if the user which is present in IAM Identity Center has a trust policy, and it is assuming that role and creating the token from that, with that token we are connecting to AWS CLI every time when we are trying to run or run our script. So this is one time generated token, and we are assuming the role. The user is assuming the role for some time, doing its task. After the task is done, the role, everything is closed again. Again, if the task has to be done, again the user will assume that role for some time, create a token, and then perform the task, and again it will be closed. So this is how the we are connecting and to AWS CLI, through AWS CLI or Azure CLI. So this question has been asked to me, that if you have written scripts, how are you connecting? So this should be your answer. And yeah, that's it for today. And yeah, we'll go ahead. I'll bring more question and answers. So yeah, that's all for today. And yeah, bye.